Hello and welcome to the Temple Tankard Tavern. I'm Jim, aka Argent Wind, and I'm here with Nans, and we're here for DM&D, uh, where we talk about gaming stuff, role-playing games, everything else with that. Um, we are today. We're continu- last time we met, we did a little system preview or system spotlight. Easy for me to say. And we did Shadowrun, talking about different systems that are out there. Well, this week, we are talking about Daggerheart. Dagger Daggerheart is the system put out by Darrington Press and Critical Role. Um, it is a fantasy role playing game. And part of the reason we're doing this is because I just started running Daggerheart, and I've been playing a Daggerheart game recently. And it's got some very interesting things that set it apart from other role playing games. Um, First off, Dan, just quick impression, just the first time playing Daggerheart. What do you think? Yeah. Yep. Yep. Hmm. Yeah. Yep. Yes. The big difference between D&D and between Daggerheart, D&D, and other even more heavy system based games is that it's much more narrative focused. It's meant to tell a story. It's meant it's so many systems that you play in and you play role playing game in there. The system kind of gets in the way of the story. And not always in a bad way. Sometimes the system is very much designed to play a certain style of game. But if you want to play a narrative role playing based game here, some systems that are really heavy on the rules and really crunchy, like Pathfinder or Hero system, it's hard to really the system just can't get out of the way. You're making checks for everything. You're having to like explain everything you do. If it's not on your character sheet, you just can't do it. Um, so Daggerheart gets out of the way of that, and it has a lot much more narrative focus, much more shared storytelling aspect there. And we'll get into that initiative system there and kind of how the encounters work a little later. But first, this one has a distinction for you. What's different about this game about the game for you that hasn't been another game that hasn't been another game for you? I meant more personally for you. First time first time playing. Sure, Dakota. Yeah, sure. Right. Yeah. 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 That's also your Isn't it also your first time playing a wizard? Yes. Yep, yep, yep. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, pure spellcaster. Yeah, yep, yep. And so this And so the spotlight, yeah, the spotlight is really an interesting idea here. Is the idea that rather than back and forth on initiative counts or things like that, and everyone kind of going around the table there, it's you have an idea, spotlight can shift to you, you do your thing, and then the tricky thing is that um, if you succeed in what you do, you keep the spotlight and pass it to one of your teammates. And it goes until somebody fails, and the spotlight passes to me, and I get to make a GM move. And we'll get to GM moves a little bit here and kind of what that means. But the dice mechanics are what are also very different here. For the players, they roll 2d12, the duality dice as they're called, and they're two different colors. One's a hope die, one's a fear die. And so the hope die is literally if you succeed and the hope die is higher, you succeed with hope. And you generate a point of hope, which is used to fuel your abilities and do some other fun mechanical things as well. But you succeed without a hitch. If you succeed with, but the fear die is higher, it's success with fear. I get a fear point, which I get to use to mess with the story and do all kinds of things later on. But you still succeed, but there's maybe a consequence. Yeah, you do that thing, but you slip a little bit and take a point of stress. So you get clocked in the head. You manage to hit him, but something falls on you and you take a point of damage. Something minor, something nothing, I think not a huge deal, but it's something that essentially um, there's a consequence in it. And then conversely, if you fail with hope, you generate a point of hope, and the consequences aren't so bad. You're not going to succeed at the task, but nothing terrible is going to happen. And in fact, you can actually describe some fun things that happen as well. So you slip on a banana peel, fall, bonk your head, something falls on top of you. No damage, but you're on your back now, and oh no, what do you do now? Comic relief moment. And failing with fear means something bad could potentially happen, and I get a fear point, and I'm stealing the spotlight as well. So there's all of that.
Yeah.
So
I
uh,
I also like, so with the fear and hope points, right? So the fear
mhm,
points give you the abilities to do things. But when I pass with hope, it adds to my counters, and then that unlocks some abilities and spells as a wizard that
mhm.
I can then cast, because one of mine says I have to have 3 hope in order to do the thing. But the thing that
Yep.
I'm about to do is so powerful that in regular D&D I would be like, nope, you can't take that spell. That's not something you
Yep.
can do.
And it's
But
a first level spell you can take. Yep.
exactly, it
Yep.
actually comes with character creation, right? So
Yep.
I was looking at it and I went, there's no way in D&D this would work as a first level spell. I don't, how are you in this game going to be able to combat that? Well, that's the thing. That particular spell still has to roll hope and fear dice, and I may be able to do the thing, but I might break my foot on the very first session too. So
Yes.
there's that.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, that hope and fear mechanic add a lot of variability and a lot of very interesting things that can happen. And there's some other fun stuff you can do with the spotlight and everything else. When we do some encounters a little later on, we'll talk about that. The classes in Daggerheart are going to, for the most part, be very familiar. You have the Bard, the Druid, the Guardian, the Ranger, the Rogue, the Seraph, Sorcerer, Warrior, and Wizard. So basically, your warriors, you're boring all fighter. The Seraph kind of replaces the Cleric class
Hmm.
and also somewhat the Paladin class. Um, so each class has two subclasses, and this is actually going to change. Now, this is actually the first edition of Daggerheart. A new expansion just came out, and I think they're adding some more options. But it literally just came out, I think, last week. Um, so we haven't incorporated any of that information in there yet. But each of the base classes has two subclasses, and so things like so a good one mentioning the Seraph, you can play the Winged Sentinel, so you want to be able to fight. It's more like the paladin type of thing, or the divine wielder, which is more at the cleric.
Hmm.
And so the sorcerer, elemental or primal. So basically, the elemental, of course, you're channeling elemental power of some kind. There in the primal, you're just messing with arcane magic in general. The wizard, we have school of knowledge and school of war. So more of a book type person and more of a war casting type person.
Hmm.
So you and each of those subclasses generates an ability for you, and will then unlock things further down the road as you increase in power.
There was
So
something
that's yeah.
about our wizard. Like I'm a wizard, and we're also having
Mhm.
another person play a wizard in our game, and
Mhm.
our two wizards could not be more vastly different,
Yeah,
right?
you do shit. Yeah, yeah,
We
exactly.
share. I think we both went down the same. Like, did he go scholar or did he go war? I'm not sure.
You went knowledge as well. Yep,
So we
yep.
both went down the knowledge tree, but mine is more what can I do to help the party do better? And in fact, that was one of the
Hmm.
things I told them. He missed a roll. I hit the once in a long rest button and I said, "Hey, do better." So it's almost like that bard inspirational die
Yep.
that they get. And so that's what my spells are mainly focusing on. His spells
Yeah.
are all damage spells. Like his whole
Except
job,
he also has a healing spell.
he also has a healing spell, which is weird because I didn't even look at that tree for healing because I did not want to do that. I always
Yeah.
play a healer type class of some kind, right? And
Yep. Yep.
and the fact that he picked up one of the healing spells, I was like, "Wait, hold on, you're doing damage spells. How are you
Yeah.
healing people?" I mean, I
Exactly.
know how, it's
It's
magic, but like, right?
right. Right. Exactly.
So when you're playing
Um.
the games, folks, don't forget you can have a class full of wizards and it does not matter because you can take
Yep.
five different paths of wizard and still not being played the same character.
Exactly. And how that works is that each class has two domains. And I'm trying to pull up the domain list here because it's very interesting how the domains work. And just let me switch over to. Um, so essentially, what it means is there's 10 classes, two domains each. Each class shares a domain with two other classes. So it's a really interesting way of looking at the classes here. And so things like the knowledge. So under wizard has the grimoire domain.
Hmm.
And what's the other domain you guys have? It is the it's right here. Domains. Sorry, it's not grimoire. Grimoire is one of the options. Is the codex domain and the splendor domain. And so what you're going to happen is you choose your class, you choose your subclass, and then pick your domain abilities. And this is where domain can come in. What's interesting is both of you have the grim. Actually, no, you don't. Uh, you both have our knowledge clerics, knowledge wizards, but
Hmm.
you chose different domains.
We did.
What's interesting is the bard also has the grimoire domain that you have,
Yep.
so shares a couple of abilities with you because the bard has splendor and grace as their abilities, as their domains. So all right, so Grace and Codex. That's Splendor. Yeah, Splendor is the one that's shared with the Seraph, which is why he has a healing ability from the Splendor domain. So it sounds confusing but when you see your abilities, and I will say, I honestly using Demiplane, their kind of built-in D&D Beyond-ish kind of
Hmm.
thing like that, has a very good character builder in it that walks you through the steps and shows you all the options you have. So definitely checking out the domain there, and they do have an open gaming license there. So most of the content to build a character you can do without having to buy it. There is that. There is some stuff locked behind a paywall in terms of certain options, but you can build a character almost completely without having any content, having to buy any content.
I would say
Um,
too, it was fairly easy. I mean, Roll20 has upped its game in filling out their character sheets, and D&D Beyond obviously set that standard. But with Demiplane, it was, oh, this is a class you want. Guess what? Here's a wall of text that you can read to fully understand. But it's not information overload. It's pertinent information you need to have, right? I
exactly.
I always felt like with the D&D books, it was here's what the class can do and here's our opinion. I don't need your opinion. Keep that to yourself,
Yeah.
please,
Yeah.
because that's
Let me
not
make my
how
own
game
decisions.
works, right?
Yeah.
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 It was
So,
it was fun building it because a lot of it was like, what is this? Holy crap, that's a super powerful spell.
mhm.
So much fun though. So much fun.
But it's also you can use it once per day.
Right.
So it's something you can be throwing out all the time, but it's going to help make or break an encounter. It's going to help really help the party get where they need to go here. And
Mhm.
again, you guys are supposed to be playing heroic characters, heroic fantasy type characters here, so you should have some powerful abilities
Mhm.
and things that are really going to help you succeed and do what you need to do. So beyond the class, the subclass, the domain is kind of what you can do. Let me get into who you are. And so Daggerheart does a very interesting thing of having your who you are is based off of your ancestry and your heritage. Your ancestry is your species, race, whatever you want to call it there. So you have your typical elf, dwarf, halfling, human, all the typical things. But Daggerheart as a base level also throws in some fun things like the clank. The Clank is similar to a Warforged in D&D. It's a mechanical race, and they can be described in a lot of different ways. But the whole idea is that they're a mechanical race of some kind. You have fairy type races. Though we have someone in the party playing a ribbit, which is a frog type race, or in the case of the environment we're in, more like a toad race. Um, there's cat races. The Dracona, which is the Dragonborn, Dragon King, whatever you want to call them. Very similar, and some other ones as well. There's a Simia, there's a monkey race, um, there's a fawn race, and so much of what's there is you can simulate just about anything. You could play the fawn race and just be a big bulky character and be an actual minotaur. They have horns, they've got hooves, and just say rather than a deer or an elk like thing, you can be a minotaur and just say, yeah, I get the same abilities, but I have a higher strength than everybody else than the other fawn types. So literally there's a really wide open thing here. And it does something fun where you get usually like an ability associated with your ancestry.
Mhm.
Well, you can mix ancestry and pick an ability from either one of your half races that you want, or your half ancestries, whichever one makes the more sense for how you want to play your character. But you can have some very interesting things. In my game I'm playing in, we have a fairy giant, guys, half fairy, half giant. And the funny thing is, he has the fairy ability to change his appearance.
Mhm.
He's kind of like a changeling kind of thing, but he's a giant guy with fairy wings. He's like 8 feet tall, like Nordic looking guy with his like literally little dragonfly fairy wings off his back. Hilarious. Um, he's also I forget what class he is, but yeah, he uses lightning abilities and everything else. Very cool. Um, what's interesting is so then the last thing that makes up who you are is your heritage. Your heritage is kind of where you're from, what sort of society you grow up in, what you'd learn in. And so it could be something like a high society. It could be lowborn society. It could be you grew up in the streets. It could be a knowledge born, where you basically you spend a lot of time in academia and learn things from that. It could also be more of a geographical type thing, like you're desert born or sea born or um, or ridge born. You live in live in the highlands or something like that. So they all also come with an ability that helps you build out your character. The Dracona species gets the scales ability, which gives them sort of a passive armor ability.
Mhm.
And then for example, I was playing there's a Wanderborn, which gives you an ability to sort of like be at ease at various places you go. And so that's kind of there. The last piece of makes up who you are is a thing called experiences. And you start off with two experiences, and these are just sort of a catch-all descriptive term for who you are. So if you are, let's say I'm playing uh, so my guardian character, big guy, he was a guardsman on the walls of the city, and I have two experiences. I hold the wall, which anytime I'm defending someone else or trying to stop somebody from getting past me or doing anything like that, I can spend a hope and gain +2 to any check that involves me being an immovable badass like roadblock. Um, and then I have I believe, oh yeah, move along, friend. Where basically I can sort of like in a more social situation, I can use my spend a hope, gain +2 to something like along the lines of de-escalating a situation or trying to calm somebody down or just in general act friendly, as a guardsman might do. So again, those experiences just kind of flesh a little bit more of who you are, give you some more options for how you can play your character and draw on those experiences. Uh,
Can you
but that's
talk
basic. Yeah,
a little bit about the traits?
traits. That comes from the uh, ancest
It,
ancestry
it
traits.
comes from your class.
Oh, right. That's from your subclass. So when you choose your subclass, you get some traits inherent to your class, and usually another trait inherent to your subclass. And so, like for example, I'm looking at the sorcerer. Um, Effectively, the sorcerer has the spellcast trait, basically general spellcasting abilities. And then based on the subclass, you might get a foundation feature where you choose an element that you're specialized in and can do things with your um, with your magic based on the fact that you chose the elemental origin for sorcerer. While the primal one has the ability to manipulate magic, allows them to actually modify the essence of magic itself. So kind of like the typical meta magic from sorcery in D&D. Um, that's the sorcerer. That's the primal origin sub subclass trait. So yeah, so each class gains a trait, a trait, and then another trait from their subclass. And as they get more powerful, they can pick up another. They pick up other traits. They become more powerful, or just upgrade and get better. Um, Yeah, so there's a lot of options. Your character, there's a lot of different things you can do. And as I told my players, if you have an ability that says you can cast fire magic or whatever else like that, you don't have to throw a fireball every turn because that's the ability that it was gave you. You could also use it in minor ways, like I could light a campfire or light a torch or just have a little flickering flame in my hand or something like that, things that don't require you to roll or do anything else, but it's more flavor things that you can do because you have magic. So that's it's sort of encouraged in this thing there is when you want to tell a story, you don't need to go, okay, what's my spell list? What cantrips do I have? Can I do this? What can I do? Like, no, you have magic. Describe how you do something. And if it requires a roll because it's something that's too complicated or too powerful, I will have you make it. You'll make a trait roll or an abil or an attribute roll or something like that to get you to succeed at what you want to do. So kind of again, it's that narrative aspect there. There are six traits. The only difference really, you have your strength, your agility, and then your finesse. They split agility and finesse into two things here. Agility is your like like in tumble and balance on things. It's all the more like um, gross motor skills, where finesse is your fine motor skills. It's how well you can manipulate things, how you can pick locks, forge things. It's all those finesse abilities, it's your sleight of hand type of things like that. So your gross motor versus your fine motor skills, and then uh, you have your instinct, your intelligence, your knowledge, and your presence, which are correlate directly to wisdom, intelligence, and charisma. I mean, and it's the same thing like that. So when you want to persuade someone, you're going to make a presence check. When you want to pick that lock, you're going to use a finesse check. When you want to avoid getting hit by a fireball that's landing in your midst, you're going to be making an agility check.
I'm not very good at that.
Um, no, no, I mean, and because the traits are starting traits, you get 1 plus 2, 2 plus 1s, 2 zeros, and 1 minus 1. So you can assign them however you want.
Yep.
So you could have a wizard with a 1 knowledge and a 2 strength if you want, um, or vice versa. Typically, you want to put your highest stat in what's going to be doing the most with your class, but you don't have to. You can have a rogue type character who's really got high presence and talks his way through things, and he's not as great as a finesse type person, but he's good.
Hmm.
Um, Again, you have the freedom to put your stats wherever you want. Um,
I don't
So,
know if you can see it, Jim, but I quick built a character while you were talking, and
mm,
it's in between the chat and us. So I don't know if you can see it or not, but
oh, there it is. Yeah.
uh-huh.
Yeah. So, yeah. So here's your traits. Yes, exactly. So you have like, yeah, reassurance. So scroll back to the top there. I want to see what is this? This is
Wizard.
a wizard. Okay. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, so yeah, you have your reassurance ability, your wizard hope, your bolt beacon. This is a spell.
Mhm.
A class feature for wizard for prestidigitation. Yeah. And two knowledge, of course. Yep.
Mhm.
So, um, leveling up we haven't done yet. I haven't done it in my game yet either here, but it's fairly slow. It's more tied to a big story event kind of thing. When you accomplish something big, you might level up here. And so you have level and tier. So like you can go level one, two, three, four, and then hit tier two. And then four, five, six, seven, or five, six, seven, eight, nine, and then 10 is tier three. Kind of like that. And so each tier, each level can like give you an extra armor box or an extra hit point or an extra uh you never get more hope slots. You only have around six hope slots.
Yeah.
Um, but a bonus to one of your stats. One of those stats. So they're fairly minor things until you hit the tier, and then you get your new abilities. And so your second tier abilities are going to be more powerful. Also, your weapons will get more powerful. Your equipment gets more powerful. So tier two equipment is obviously better than tier one equipment. Um, and so you can almost like level up your equipment as well, which is kind of interesting here. You don't have to get a new sword. That sword that was tier one might go to tier two because now you're better at using it or you've done things to make it better. So kind of fun that way.
Mhm.
Um,
I
yeah.
like the downtime. The downtime actions were really cool. Um,
Yeah.
it's not like D&D. We're like, hey, let's take a short rest. Oh, that's not quite how it works in Daggerheart.
Yeah. So you still have the short and the long rest in Daggerheart here, but what you do during them is you pick two things to do. From a list of things, and it can be I clear my stress. I I heal some for a short rest. You heal some on a long rest. You heal all. So I I get rid of some stress. I get rid of some hit points. I heal some damage. I fix some of my armor that's gotten dinged up. Um, and the idea there is that you're going to describe what actions you're taking to do that. So it could be, I'm going to sit back and drink some water, put myself back here and clear some stress. I'm going to close my eyes for a bit and just relax.
Mhm.
Um, or I'm going to sit here like fixing the straps on my armor or banging out some dings in the armor, whatever else that. And so you describe what you're doing essentially to clear your things. But you pick two things. Um, you can also prepare with one or more of your teammates and just gain two hope. And so it
Mhm.
might be you guys go off somewhere and sort of like have a conversation, or you guys off and do some training together, where you're working on some teamwork moves, whatever kind of prepare action you want to do. You can describe that and just gain two hope, which obviously is going to fuel better abilities after you rest.
Mhm.
Um, so, and then for on a long rest, the only difference is long rest. Each of those things will heal full, like you'll clear all your stress, clear all your damage, clear all your armor boxes. But you also get an option to work on a project. And projects could be things like I want to work on a new spell. I want to work on a move I could do in combat. Or and so the projects are really free form here. They take a while. You can't just like make one check and it's good. It's something's going to take a little while to do. But projects can have fun things you can add to your character down the road. I gave the players some potential projects there in that trying to find some materials for some alchemy
Mhm.
for some cool potions and stuff. And so while the alchemists they went to didn't have what they wanted, they say, hey, if you find this stuff and do this to it, you can then make this potion that be really helpful.
Mhm.
But the idea is that that project could be I'm going to go hunt for some of those herbs I talked about. So yeah, it's it isn't so just like oh I just press the long rest button and I'm done.
Mhm.
Um,
There's a
there's
little
a
bit to it, yeah. I we did. Um, we did get that information after we rested, but
Yeah,
now I think, especially with my character, I'm like, hey, all I have to do is find the blood of a tongue howler, blood from the tongue of a howler. I don't know why it's specific to that, but whatever.
yeah,
I've not met a howler, don't know what they are. Gonna find out, and I'm gonna get the
yeah,
blood and then put it in a vial that she already gave us and shake it for 35 seconds. I don't know what'll happen if we go to 36, but guess what? I'm gonna try it and find out.
yeah. Good. And the fun thing, and I will say, made it up on the fly. That's not in the book anywhere.
Nope,
I
I
literally
would.
just said, "Here you go,"
Mhm,
and it is that fun thing. It's like it threw me for a loop. Okay, yeah, they don't have anything really cool, but she has this idea because, so yeah, the idea of being able to just do that, and for your characters too, when you want to just like on the fly decide something is going to be a certain way, it may or may not even take a test. If it's something that just makes sense for you to do, then you just do it. If it's something that could be dangerous or potentially a problem, I'll have you make a roll for it instead of difficulty.
mhm,
But typically, it's like if it makes sense for the story, and just do it. And it's fun that way. Uh, you're less constrained. Again, you're less constrained by rules and more open to story. And so the idea of, and I've talked about this in other DM&Ds and some tips and tricks on this, that is you're not required to make someone roll for something. Like typically you can choose to not bother to have them roll. The only time you really want them to roll is when there's a consequence for failure, or there's some level of extra success that could happen. If it's just like, oh yeah, you just do you do the thing. But if there's like, oh, this is a dangerous situation, or this could blow up in your face, or this could go really well for you, then you may want to make the test. But otherwise, it's just like, no, that you just do it. You're good at this. You're a wizard. You can you can mess around with some minor magics. Sure. Um, yeah. So the idea that you had that freedom there.
mhm,
Um, so yeah, our party right now is interesting. We've got a dwarf guardian. Guardian is sort of like the think of the guardian as sort of half paladin, half warrior. They're more the meat shield tank kind of class is what they're meant to be.
mhm,
So when you want a frontline person to get in the way of things, that's your guardian. The funny thing is that guardians and seraphs, the wing, especially the winged sentinel seraph, or even the divine wielder seraph, can share an ability where they can jump in front of someone and take damage. In my party, I'm the guardian, but the seraph has the ability to block attacks for other players. So, and then he can heal himself. So he'll like get beat up and then heal himself. Where I'm just sitting there going, it's just bouncing off of me. Um, so I will make it a point that he never has to use his healing ability on me. I've kind of told him that, like, no, you heal the guys that are hurt. I'm fine.
mhm, mhm,
Um, but yeah, so yeah, we have the dwarf guardian. We got our Dracona wizard,
mhm.
our ribbit wizard, the Katari, the cat race ranger, and our human bard. And it's a party. You look at it on paper and go, there's no rogue in this party.
Mm-mm.
So
There's no healer.
there's no real, there's no well, the wizard he has mending wound, because he has a splendor. He took the mending wound ability that that the wizard shares with the seraph class, the domain they share there, and took the mend wound ability from the splendor domain. So we have a healer. Um, we just don't have a rogue. Or someone to break into things. Which I mean, maybe you
Eh,
don't need it. I think the ranger could be sneaky, but I don't know if the ranger has lock picking or anything else like that. But it's
I
okay.
I have an
Um,
answer to a door. It's called breath weapon. We just open the
sure.
door,
Or
or we
bash it
get
with an axe.
X,
Or
or
yeah,
yeah, use your foot like
yeah,
Sora did so many times. Yes, we can get doors
exactly,
open if we need to.
exactly.
We don't
Yeah.
always
So
have to be sneaky, right?
no, I mean, and that's the cool thing is that you can your party makeup is going to help you decide how you're going to handle certain encounters.
Mhm,
And so that's where encounters come in here. When I do in Daggerheart encounters, they have a whole set of rules on different types of adversaries, the enemies you're going to go up against here. So the adversaries go from like your minions. Oh my gosh, they're all different names and they're different power levels. And so the adversaries are going to be, at least, it's actually interesting to see what they are here. Let me just pull them up because it's, yes, here we go. You have your, oh, darn, adversary passes, adversary level. Okay, yeah. You have your bruisers. Your bruisers are tough, super powerful attacks. They hit hard.
Hmm.
Your hordes, it's your swarm of rats. Your leaders, which are going to basically be able to command and summon other types of enemies. Your minions, which are the ones that are going to get commanded and sent out to do things like that. Your ranged adversaries, your skulks. I mean, their skulks are your sneaky ones, your snipers. Your social adversaries who may try to steal from you, or may try to con you, or may try to get you to go there and do something. Um, your solo adversaries, like your big dragon, your BBEG. Your standards, your basic rank and file, just normal enemies, and your supports. They're adversaries that heal and buff their friends. So those are all the different adversary types. And so you have various power levels. Each adversary has sort of a type that it falls under. And then effectively, they don't have much. They have a difficulty, which is the number you need to hit to roll to hit them or affect them with your abilities.
Hmm.
They have a threshold for damage, which we'll go over there, a number of hit points, how much stress they have, and their attack and damage modifiers. Pretty much it. But their features are where things get fun. And some of those features, I might have to spend fear to activate that feature, like a breath weapon, or like a that a guy might have, or some sort of I spend a fear for them to bring an ally into the fight, um, or use a healing ability. So I would spend a fear to activate that. Some things you do on reactions, so as a reaction to being hit, and yeah, it's literally each adversary has a different type of things here. The party that fought some fire snakes, those fire snakes had an ability to basically spray fire out in a wide area. I had to spend a fear to do it. Actually, I had to spend two fear to do it. And it was something they could only do that each individual enemy could only do once an encounter.
I was pretty
So
big too. It took a
oh
full
yeah,
list.
it's a wide area. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it happened twice there. Like okay, they got more than one target in front of them. Boom, just gonna
Hmm.
spray fire everywhere. Um, and so really, that's kind of how adversaries work. And the way the encounters work is that again, the party starts off with the party or me, depending on how I set up the encounter, would start off with a spotlight. So if I manage to ambush the party, if I spend fear to kick off the encounter, um, uh, I can go first, essentially. But otherwise, the party goes first. They have the spotlight. As long as their actions succeed, they keep the spotlight and pass it around, unless I spend a fear to steal the spotlight away.
Hmm.
And I say you only do that when it makes sense. A lot of times, if you're in a hand-to-hand combat with another enemy, and you're passing you have the spotlight and you hit me, um, I might spend a fear to say I'm going to hit you back, or my buddy behind me is going to jump up and smack you because we're a team or whatever. Of
Right.
course, you can do something similar to yourself there by passing the spotlight to your friend. But the idea that you have that freedom to like spend a fear and interrupt, spend a fear to steal a spotlight and do something. But not every GM move has to be an attack.
Hmm.
It could be an environmental effect, like the fire that those fire snakes sprayed out there spreads. I can spend a fear to say, okay, the fire spreads, and anyone who's touching it now has to make a reaction test or take some damage.
Hmm.
Uh, that's the kind of thing that can happen. Or it could be I just do something to make an environmental, like the idea of I spend a fear to make it start storming as they're traveling. And it was like, uh-oh. And so that kind of changes the nature of what's going on. I spent a fear to do that, and kind of just drive things forward. Fear should always be something impact. It doesn't always have to be something game changing, but it should have an impact on the story. It should change what's going on. It should change the rhythm of things, or introduce an element of danger or interest of some kind. That's what GM moves should always be. It's like you don't do it just to be petty. You don't just do it just to be um, to get revenge, although that may be a motivation for your adversaries. Uh,
Yeah.
but the
Yeah.
idea that your GM moves have a lot of flexibility in that. Um,
You know what I did
so
find the hardest to wrap my head around, and I'm still struggling with it. I still have to ask you.
yeah,
Um, we don't have to close the distance. There's no such thing as adjacent. There's
yeah,
no such thing as with a 5 foot rule. It's far, very far, close, and very close, right?
and melee. Yeah, so
And
basically, you have
melee, right?
melee, close. Sorry, melee is touching. Essentially, you are
Hmm.
beating each other up
Yeah.
there. You're nose to nose. Close, I'm sorry, very close is within about 5 to 10 feet.
Hmm.
Close is out to about 30 feet. And then far is like beyond 30 feet, and then very far is like beyond 100 feet.
Yeah.
So, but those are like they have settings in the rules. You could do actual grid combat and battle combat and all that. But one of the things about this is that if you're taking your turn on the spotlight to close the distance and attack, or move back and attack, do it. I mean, it's all kind of a fluid thing that you're doing as part of your action here. Now, you can't suddenly, unless you have an ability that lets you do so, you can't go from like I'm at far range, I'm gonna close the distance all the way to melee and punch him in the face. That's a little bit too much. But to get closer and do something, and then get closer and do something on your next action, then that makes sense. I mean, it's a lot of common sense things in there. Unless ability says otherwise, it
Yeah.
should make sense.
I like
So
I like that it is
yeah,
combining a lot of theater of the mind with rules, right? Because that was my
yeah,
biggest struggle with D&D. I can't do theater of the mind because I need to know where the characters are roughly placed on a
yeah.
map for me to see it.
Right.
However, with these rules, I can see where they are, but I still have to know, am I far? Am I very close? Am I close? Not, I mean, very close is kind of
Yeah,
easy for me to figure out. I'm really just
yeah,
sitting
yeah,
adjacent from them, right? But far and very far, that could be whatever's up to interpretation because again I could be 20 feet from you and call it far, or I can be
yeah,
120 feet from you and call it very far. So
yep,
I like it because it's helping train my mind into the theater of the mind type aspect, and it,
hmm,
it gets me out of all right, the turn-based system has to happen,
yeah,
and because it's a spotlight pass, you have to pay attention because you never know if it's going to, tennis racket back to you all day long, which you
yeah,
really shouldn't because you have other players, right? But if
sure, yeah,
if they're down, you're going to be doing the tennis racket the whole time. So
yeah,
if you're not paying attention, you're going to miss your turn.
yep. Yeah, it introduces really interesting elements there, and I mean D&D. The problem is everything has a range on it. So
Uh-huh.
am I 60 feet away? Am I 50 feet away? Am I 80 feet away? Well, that means that tells me what spells I can cast. So the idea of having a more nebulous thing here, you can just say, am I within close range? Okay, I can use this ability. Oh, I'm between close and far. Okay, I can still do this one. I
Hmm.
can't do this one because I need to be in melee for that. So the idea is that your abilities have a range associated with them, but those ranges again are nebulous. They're not like set in stone, and you have to pull out a ruler or watch the grid lines. Um, they can be helpful, but mostly you just need sort of a relative positioning of things.
Hmm.
I still like to have sort of a map because one thing I hate about theory of the mind is dealing with a lot of enemies. Like how many are left? I
Right.
I don't know. And so now in certain systems and in certain settings like that, you just say, "Yeah, there's still some more left. What do you want to do?" Like,
Right.
"Oh, there's 5 left. Okay, I'm gonna go hit. I'm gonna rep to hit one." Okay. So the idea of like where they are doesn't matter. You can reach two out of the 5 of them. Pick one of them. Um, so the idea of like describing your actions in theater of the mind is more just about it's similar to this. The idea of like I'm just going to describe what I'm doing, and if it makes sense, if my abilities say that's a reasonable thing for me to be able to do, then
Hmm.
you just do it. Make your tests, make your rolls, and it happens. So yeah, it's a very different mindset. It is like theater of the mind light or adjacent or like
Esque.
like you can,
Hmm.
so it's theater of the mind with training wheels, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, for those of us who don't have imaginations like that, I very much appreciate it. It allows me to then go, oh, I think maybe I can do some theater of the mind games. Maybe not like
Yep, yep.
super heavy, like play with people who've been doing theater of the mind for 15 years because there's no way I could manage that one. But
Yeah,
it's a step up and it's appreciated.
yeah, definitely. Um, well, I think let's see here. Yeah, I think again, I'm really encouraged by Daggerheart. I'm really encouraged what I see here. The last thing I'll point out here for those who want to run Daggerheart is there's a really cool feature in the book. I think it's something called frames, and frames are just a fancy way, their way of talking about a setting. And so your setting could be we are playing in the frame that's based on the official frame called Colossus of the Drylands, and it has each frame is described as sort of a feel. There are certain specific gear or classes or races or ancestries or even maybe heritages that make more sense for that frame. So you might limit what character choices someone can make based on the frame that you're in. And so you can make a custom frame that says, okay, there are no these ancestries available, and no one can be from this region, so this heritage isn't available. It could even have certain things like certain classes aren't available. If there's no divine magic in this frame because the gods are all dead and no one can touch on divine magic, well, the seraph doesn't work as a class. And certain domain abilities under the wizard or druid might not work,
Hmm.
depending on how they're set up there. So it'll tell you what options are available based on the frame. And the frames have some. There's about six or so in the back of the core rulebook that are very very interesting. I mean, they're all unique. They're all one is called Motherboard, which is sort of a cyberpunk, fantasy cyberpunk type of setting. And it looks really cool, but there's a lot of confusing, like, they use a lot of like, weird circuitry diagrams in place of runes, which I was like, this is really cool, but a little too much to figure out and put together.
Hmm.
There's Age of Umbra. The Age of Umbra is this darkness has fallen across the land, and these weird nightmare creatures are moving across the area, and you're trying to survive. It's a very apocalyptic kind of setting there. And there's just be a generic fantasy setting, just with no frame, no limits, no whatever else that. And so the system really has ways of molding itself to any sort of setting you want to use. And the frames are good baselines for that. There's a lot of frames online that people have made. You could look up things about different custom or homebrew frames. And so, yeah, it encourages that sort of gameplay. When I first saw the previews for Daggerheart, when they were mentioning out there, like, how do I do a game where these ancestries don't exist, or it takes place in this type of a realm? So Seaborn doesn't work because you're playing in a desert. We're playing Dune, like the Dune setting. There is no Seaborn, like.
Nope.
um so you would just say, yeah, in this frame, that ancestry, that heritage, maybe even that class isn't available. So, yeah, it lends itself to that freedom to make your own game, and it has rules and suggestions and examples that really help you do that. I don't see other systems really telling you, hey, modify it you as you will to fit what you want to do. People have been doing variations of D&D forever, like a D&D Mass Effect D&D.
Hmm.
I've seen that. I'm like, wow, that's a really deep, crazy dive to make that. Or you want to do a game that's, yeah. I mean,
Hmm.
it, there are ways to. I want a D&D less powerful version, so you only go to level 5 instead of going to level 20, or and then other abilities like there was a Pathfinder version. I can't remember what it was called there, but basically you only leveled up a certain point. You can continue to get feats at that point, but you couldn't get more levels, which is interesting. So you could gain new abilities, but you couldn't get more. You couldn't get stronger. Like so, the idea of like, hey, you're not gonna have someone run around with 300 hit points. You're gonna be maxed out at like whatever sixth level hit points are, and then whatever feats you can get to get a little bit extra. But it makes a more deadly game because now you might fight a dragon, but you're not going to roll into that with 150 hit points and a 35 armor class.
Hmm. Yep.
Um,
Yep.
so it's just ways of putting limits on things to fit, whereas they kind of bake that into Daggerheart. So kind of cool that way. Um,
Yep. I'm excited for it. I can't wait to
yeah,
see. I mean, I'm not. that's the fun part. I'm we've played 2 weeks. I'm not
Hmm.
already going, when are we leveling up?
Yeah,
Like, because it's just, I'm at the point where I don't need to level because it's so much fun just playing the way that we're playing now, bouncing it
yeah,
back and forth from each other. Now, I get with our party, we have, issues that are going on in the background, but it's still fun, even with
yeah,
said issues, right? So,
yeah, yeah.
what,
Logistical issues. Yeah,
yeah, logistical issues. So it's just like, even with all that going on, I'm still enjoying the game itself. Like, we haven't even got into the storyline too much yet. It's
yeah,
right. We're just playing, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
yeah. And a big thing too about it too, it's really fun is the fact that I mean there are abilities that your characters have that you haven't even used yet.
Mhm.
Like there are things we don't even know what everyone can do yet, and we're 2 sessions in.
Mhm.
I mean D&D, it's like no, I got my class abilities, I use it every turn. It's like I
Mhm.
mean yeah, I might have a spell I haven't cast yet, but whatever. It's like no, this is like there are entire class abilities and ability like ancestry abilities that no one's even touched on yet. Um, so
Mhm.
yeah, there's so much you can do, and so still a wide variety of things you can do that I think it lends itself to that kind of fun aspect. You're not going to get bored with it because
Mm-mm.
there's so many ways you can go.
And I can also see, like, even if you have a group of 5 and 3 of them are not able to show up, you could still run a session with 2
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
Right?
Oh,
You could
absolutely.
still run a session with one person because
Oh,
what are
that's
they doing during their downtime actions, right? Now they get to actually play it
exactly.
out with the DM. Whereas D&D
Yeah.
doesn't exactly, unless you've set it up for that, you don't exactly get to do that in D&D.
No, no, it's yeah, literally you can what like you're on your own. What are you doing? Well, they're off doing this. I'll go do this and then
Mhm.
and try to find out this thing. Cool,
Split
go
the
for it.
party.
Uh,
Split the
yeah,
party.
splitting the party. I gotta say, it's fun in Daggerheart. It's not deadly. It's fun. Like it's
We didn't split the party on that
no,
combat, but we were split apart from each other,
yes,
right?
yeah,
And it wasn't like, oh my god, I got to get over to them because I'm the
no,
healer, right? Or
yeah,
I have to get over to them because I'm the tank and they've got most of the enemy. It was 3 went one way, 2 went another way. We each took care of the same amount of equal snakes, fire lizards, and it wasn't
yeah,
a big struggle. And once I got finished, we just collided in on each other and we went,
yeah,
all right, so what did we learn? We learned not to
yeah,
hide away from the people that can protect us. Great.
yeah,
Let's not
yeah.
do that.
Yeah, like let's regroup. So, but yeah, I mean, you guys went through most of the conduct, the whole
Combat.
encounter,
Mhm,
split apart from each other, not
yeah,
able to really help each other, and so
mhm,
yeah,
mhm,
it's that fluidity of how things can go
mhm.
makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there was a couple times I was like, I want to do the thing. And you're like, yeah, but he's behind a building. And I went, oh, wait.
you can't see it. Darn it.
It's not a hear thing. I can't do it based off of hearing because wizards, they
Nope,
have that.
no,
As long as you can hear them or at least know where they're at, you can cast the spell. This one, no, I
sure.
have to actually see my
Yeah.
people that I'm casting.
And maybe some abilities that, or maybe that's something you're going to be able to do as a project to be
Mhm.
able to add that to the idea that how do I do this from when they can't see me?
No, that does. I have a wand. Could I
Hmm.
make my wand cast a spell and just like around the
Or
corner?
I'm gonna, or I summon up a little fire spirit that's in, it's off there, and like almost like a familiar type of thing,
Hmm.
where now that they can do it because they can see them, and so
Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
there's again, yeah,
So
that's a
much.
project you can do. I want to develop a little fire spirit familiar type thing like that that I can see 2 places at once.
Mm. Ooh, that's
There you
gonna be
go.
a headache. But yeah,
Yeah,
my character does have that little elemental that's supposed to be with her, so it is entirely
yeah.
possible that that might be
So yeah,
the next project I'm working on.
yeah. So a project of developing an ability or a trick, like because the ranger has their little pet,
Hmm.
so developing tricks with the pet, developing special uses of and special uses of an ability.
Hmm.
Those are all projects we can develop there, and so yeah, it'll be interesting to see how where people go with that.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Yep. Yeah. Me too. Well, folks, I think we're going to wrap things up there. We're almost at an hour there. If you're watching now and in the future, thanks for being here. Thanks for listening in. I know there's a lot of geeking out about a new system there, but that's kind of what it's fun. It's a way to mix things up a little bit. We all, I mean, we still love our games, whichever they are, and certain systems we just are going to fall back on.
Hmm.
But it's fun to try out new things and fun to see what differences there are. And you may find something you love more than your old one, and want to stick with. We'll see. Um, but anyway, thanks for being here. If you have suggestions, as always, uh, put them in the comments here. Put them, send them via the Discord, our Discord server there. Our links in the description below there to join up if you aren't already there. Or yeah, send us a message on an idea for a new show in the future. We'll see where we end up. Um, there's lots of other systems. I've got about 30 or so behind me right now that I can draw on if we want to.
Hmm.
Um, but some I've played a lot of, some I've not played very much of, and some wouldn't really lend themselves to an entire session. But we'll see. Um, yeah, you want theater of the mind? I got the system for that. Uh,
Don't
a
really.
perfect system for that. It's really great for that. So, but anyway, as always, thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out.
Hmm.
And yeah, give us some more ideas. Give us your feedback. Let us know how we can
Hmm.
keep this going. So stop by the Tanker anytime. Drinks are on us. Have fun, and we'll see you again.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
folks.